Hey guys, Chelsea here from Making Manzanita. Today we're going to teach you how to fix drywall with a skip trowel finish. Now these are the two areas that we're going to be fixing. One is the bottom corner of our bedroom, and then one is over where we added a pocket door over by our closet, the drywall of course needed a lot of help after we were done. So you want to start out by getting rid of all of the high spots and all of the areas that need to be patched on your wall. You want to do that first. You can see here Logan is just using a knife and scraping all the loose pieces off, and then we're going to go in and fill the places that need to be patched with all-purpose joint compound. Now the first thing you need to do is select what tools you want to use to apply your texture, and there's really two options. You can use a mud pan and a knife, which you'll see Logan using later, or you can use what is called a hawk and trowel, which he is using here. Now the hawk and trowel takes a little bit of practice, and it may be a little harder for beginners. So you may want to start with just a mud pan and a knife, and I'll show you that in a bit. This combination is a little easier to use, but you want to start by just getting everything nice and flat, whether it be over new drywall that you put in or just areas that need to be patched. You want to just get it as smooth as you can with the drywall. And again, he's just using a hawk and a trowel here, and he's just going to fill any of those holes with the all-purpose joint compound. If you have a long linear patch that you needed to do, whether it be in a corner or just a long strip that needed to be patched, it could be a good idea to use some joint tape, which you see us using here. This is to prevent the crack from reappearing. So we did this in the top corner above our closet door, and to put this on, you'll just put a thin layer of the joint compound on the wall or in the corner, then apply the tape, and then just put more joint compound on the top to get it nice and smooth. Now, if you have smaller holes, like just these screw holes here, you can see, you can just do it with a small putty knife like he has, and then in his left hand there, he's holding what's called a mud pan. It just holds a little bit of mud. So this is a putty knife, and then this is a closer look at what's called the hawk. And you just kind of balance your glop of joint compound on there, and then you would use a trowel, which is what I'm holding there, to put it on the wall. So these are just a little look at the tools. And for the mud, we are using pre-mixed all-purpose joint compound. You can buy the dry stuff if you want and add your water, but we just buy the stuff that's pre-mixed, saves us a step. So after you get it nice and smooth, you can go back and smooth it even further. What we use is just a wet rag to kind of sand off the excess or wipe off the excess. And if you didn't know it, joint compound cleans up with just a wet rag. So you don't need to sand and create all that dust unless you need to. So a wet rag works wonders. All right, now it's time to work on that skip trowel texture. And I want to preface this by just saying there are a lot of different ways to apply the skip trowel finish, and there are a lot of varying results in how it looks. So a lot of it comes down to personal preference, or you may be trying to match surrounding walls. So you of course want to get it as close as you can to the surrounding walls as possible. So I would, if you're doing new texture, I would look around at some different videos and pictures online and try to get something that you're happy with on the finished result, and then try to match that. But here is the general process. So you want to just put a little bit of mud on a flat knife, like you see Logan doing here, and then you hold the knife at an angle to the wall and allow the joint compound to skip over the finish. So you can see it kind of skips over and applies that texture. Now this is something that you're probably just going to need to do some practice and figure out what works best for you in terms of different techniques. But I would definitely recommend doing some texture, maybe getting an extra piece of drywall and practicing on that, or just like a piece of plywood if you have that laying around. Getting some practice in before you start working on your walls is definitely worth the extra cost of supplies as you experiment. Now, if you're trying to blend in your patched drywall to the surrounding areas, what we try to do is just add a thin coat of new texture over the old stuff, and it kind of helps it blend that patch better with your existing wall. So you can see he just continues to go over the area, skipping the trowel very lightly across the area until it's all full and it looks like it's consistent with the surrounding area. And the key here is not to overwork it. You don't want it to look perfect. The randomness of the texture is why it works. So once you get a whole wall done, you'll start to notice these imperfections repeat, and it really just ties in the whole skip trowel texture as a whole. So it may look a little silly there, but once it's all painted, that patched area really blends in. So you can see he's just repeating this whole process over on the closet area, and there's a lot more areas to patch over here, but he just gets it done in that same manner, skipping that texture over the wall and trying to blend it as close as he can with the existing texture on the wall. Once you're happy with it, just step away and let it dry. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I promise once you start getting paint on there, you'll probably won't even be able to see the patched area. Now, speaking of paint, before you start throwing the paint up there, you want to be sure to get a drywall primer on first. This really helps the texture soak in that moisture and fill so that your new paint will need less coats and have a more even finish. And it also prevents what is called flashing, which is where the paint sheen is a little different when it's over dry drywall mud. So even if you're using a paint plus primer, you want to be sure to add that drywall primer in before you paint. See what I mean about those areas really blending in once you get the paint on? I seriously can't even tell where we patched. So again, with a little bit of practice, a small investment of tools and supplies, and really just taking your time to get the technique down, you can totally patch and repair drywall damage in your home and give it that skip trowel finish that you're after. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We share tons of renovation tips and DIY tutorials. And then like this video and put in the comments below what you liked best, and let me know if you have any other questions. Hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.